Hey gang, welcome to the forum for the week. Good job this past week, team. We had 64 in groups. We had 76 the previous week, which is Easter. And of course, we expect to have a decent number on Easter. But to have 64 the following week, I thought was really good. That's a good number for us right now. So I appreciate you taking the time to contact the people in your group and making that regular effort. What this should also remind us of is that when we make regular contact, when we make those connections with regularity, it does pay off. People are more likely to be there. People are more likely to make it a priority if we keep connection with them that way. Let me give you just a little tip that I found really helpful. More and more, the world is using texting, and texting is actually really helpful. I don't think it's very healthy to have long conversations on text, probably, because it takes away too much of the face-to-face. However, in terms of reminding people of things and for short messages and reminders, and as a time saver, it can be really, really helpful. If you want to give your texting a little more personal touch, if you have 8 or 10 people that you're sending something to, instead of sending it as a mass text, which is a time saver, from time to time I encourage you to take a week, and I try to do this, where you send an individual text to each person. That doesn't have to be long, but you are addressing them by name in the text. You're making it clear to them that this text is being sent only to them. And again, that makes it a little more special, a little more personal, especially if you know a prayer need that's going on in their life, to check on that or just to let them know you're praying for them. I want to encourage you to do that. And you don't necessarily have to do that with every person every week. I encourage you to make sure you're touching base with at least a couple of people in your group each week that way. Regular tenders, not to speak of folks who may be missing some, or prospects. So that little item out of the way, I just want us to think about what we started last week, talking about Quadrant 2 activities. Let me remind you what we mean by Quadrant 2. What we mean are those activities, the things we can do as group leaders that are both important yet not urgent. We will spend a good amount of time on the things that are important and urgent. Preparing your study for the week, for example. However, it's good to spend some kind of time on a regular basis on something that is important but not urgent. And that is how we build strength. That is how we build momentum. That's how we build health into our groups. That leads to good growth for folks. And so I was asking you to identify one Quadrant 2 activity for your group, and each of you did do that last week. I really appreciate the good discussion last week. Thank you very much for taking that time. So all I want to do is not introduce anything new this week, but just review what we talked about last week and ask you to update us. All right. So for Legacy Builders, the men's group, we talked about Arthur had mentioned the need to come up with a fellowship and or a service project, and then to try to get together something of a teaching schedule. So Arthur, if you'll kind of let us know where things stand on that, what maybe you have done, what you may still need to do. For Women of the Word, basically it was just to simply get Renee asked to be the project coordinator for your group. And so did you do that? If not, could maybe just do that via text this week, because Sunday morning's pretty crazy. It's easy to forget it or run out of time. Faith Walkers, talking about structure. Jeff, this occurred to me. We were talking about Mac a little bit this last week, and I saw the little banter there with you and Arthur. It looks like Jeff is holding on to Mac for right now. It occurred to me that Mac might be really good as a group greeter. He's usually there in plenty of time, and he could be someone who would make the effort to make sure people feel welcome when they come in. If a new person comes in, or a person you haven't seen for a while comes in, that they make a special effort, and that you get him to team up with you in greeting folks before worship. And if someone needs to be invited, Mr. Mack may not know right off the top of his head that, who a person might be that he can invite and take a flyer to for Faith Walkers. But Jeff, you could probably tell him, and instead of you doing it, give him the flyer and say, hey, would you mind to go invite so-and-so to our group? I think it would be really good. And so I think that would be a great way to utilize Mac. My guess is he'd be willing to give it a shot. And so that might be a really good step for you guys. With Soulmates, once again, I was talking a little bit about group structure, and I had mentioned I'd like to see us have a care group leader. I had bantered about a couple of names. But this week, it occurred to me that a lady named Kim Crawford, who's been coming to our group, I text with her just on and off for prayer needs that they have. They have a lot going on in their family right now. They really can use some care. And so I kind of thought it might be an opportunity to approach the subject with her and say, hey, would you be willing to help provide some care in the group. And I texted with her this week on that, and she actually told me she'd be willing to do that. And we're going to talk about details a little bit this weekend. And so Kim's going to take a shot at doing some care group stuff inside our group. So I'm really excited about that and thankful. So I kind of gave you the update on mine. Please, in the forum this week, just simply update us on where you are with the step you needed to take. If you did take it, great. Tell us how it went. If you haven't yet, then tell us what the plan is this week to get that done. All right. Thanks for your time.